Hey guys, Dov here. Apologies about the video yesterday. It was all choppy. I recently got a new monitor, for those of you guys who don't know, and still adjusting all the settings and everything. Yesterday, things were not as they should be. So hopefully today we're a little better. We're going High Elves today up against the Greenskins, so let's pop it into slow motion as we take a look at the builds here. Kind of wanted to talk through some things. My army is led by a princess on a griffin, so the griffins are a new mount available for both the prince and princess. The princess especially is very interesting to me as she carries a bow and is sort of a hybrid flying missile monster in that way. We have a look at her fire arc as well. It's a little bit hard to see, but if you can see this yellow here, it is a massive fire arc, very long range, and super wide, right? A great fire arc in general. It's like an eagle, but better even, I would say. So yeah, we've got her. She's relatively cheap, about 1,700 points in this kit, just with the volley of high arrows, and she's going to be providing a cheap terror mobile option for this build. We've got a couple of rangers, a couple of Silverin guards with their silly magic tiaras. Yeah, the Silverin guards I had been initially pretty low on, but after having been playing with them a bit, testing them out, I actually think they're potentially a pretty good unit, very cost-effective at 800 points they've been reduced to, so that's good. We've got a White Lion Chariot, a Mage Lore of Beasts, so again, Mobile Terror is what we're looking for here. We've got a Manticore Summon, Sisters of Avalorn for AP, 2 White Lions, or War Lions rather, including the Rahagra's Pride, and 4 Reavers, so definitely kind of a mobile, almost beast theme to build, right? It's almost like Wood Elves, not quite, but anyway, for the boys, going to be led by Flying Taco. We've got Grimgore here, the Rogue Idol, not the Biggin, just the regular Rogue Idol. We've got 5 units of Orc Biggins as well, 3 Pump Wagons, bunch of Goblins, Wolf Rider Archers as well, so pretty good stuff. Right off the bat, we're going to be maneuvering up and around the side here, getting a nice isolation on this Biggin. Obviously, charging Reavers into a unit of Biggins is very risky, but we've got that mobile support of the Princess coming in. She can take a dive here, get a nice tear route. Looks like the Orcs trying to use some magic to debuff, but we'll get a quick tear route there. Meanwhile, on the front line, these War Lions come in, get a nice charge on some Gobos. We're going to be able to route away some units very quickly. Also in the back line, the Pump Wagons try and push through. The Sisters of Avalorn are point-blank firing on them. You can see one of the Pump Wagons already having been blown up. I'm actually just using the War Lions, or the Lion Chariots, rather, to push away the Pump Wagons, kind of keep their mass blocked. Likewise, Manticore been summoned. He's also going to drop down and try and go after these Pump Wagons here, just keep them pressured. But War Lions are pulled back, just kind of biding their time, waiting for a good opportunity to come in and get maybe a leadership route with that extra effect there. Reavers are pushing up heavily in the back line after having broken up a bunch of these Biggins, and again, that hybrid missile melee focus of the Princess means she's going to come down and absolutely wreck this poor little Gobbo. Likewise, the Rogue Idol just getting saturated by the Sisters of Avalorn. At this point, there's nothing really to threaten the Sisters of Avalorn. I've been able to deal with most of Flying Taco's mobile units just fine. The Pump Wagons are all been routed away between the Manticore, the Silverin Guards here, and of course the War Lions doing their own armor-piercing damage. The Illyrian Reavers are going to kind of scatter to the 4 winds. Some of them are routing, some of them are just pushing away these Wolf Rider Archers for the time being. But as it is, yeah. Manticore Summon's just about run out, but you can see the Princess, as she's kind of flying around, she's just taking little pot shots here and there from the sky, getting a little bit of extra DPS as she's in the air. It's quite nice, get some good value that way. Here come the War Lions, they're going to come in for a rear charge here, and use the leadership effect and everything to break these Biggins. Oh man, this game is absolutely gorgeous. Really hope the frame rates hold up. I'll double check the video after, just in case, but the Biggin starts dropping some rocks. We almost get a leadership route here with the Mighty Roar, just concentrating everything together. We're just about able to take out the Rogue Idol. You can see the Princess is very healthy, having been, mostly been cycle charging the whole time, not really staying in sustained combat for too long. But my infantry is getting pretty thin. These Rangers are pretty much done. The Silverin Guards over here are done. The Silverin Guards, somehow, one unit managed to make their way all the way up over here, and are actually trading pretty efficiently with those Biggins. And the charge defense of the Silverin Guard definitely helps. Certainly, and the fact they have a little bit better AP values as well, better bonus versus large. Like, I definitely think, previously I want to say they were 900 points, but at 800 points they're definitely going to be cost effective. But yeah, the Sisters of Avalorn keeping up the pressure here. War Lion's going to come around for another push, and the Lion Chariot has just been an absolute menace in the center, taking out all of the infantry here. The Biggins, still got a few units of Biggins left, but oh man, here comes the War Lions and the White Lion Chariots all coming together. Looks like we're going to have another Manticore summon as well from the Beast Mage. Volley of high arrows comes down, absolutely blasts that Night Goblin Shaman, and then the princess is going to drop down in melee. Night Goblin Shaman tries to respond with a zap, does a miscast, and blasts himself, but he does manage to make contact with the princess. Since I don't have any healing, I do have to be a little bit careful with her, but I mean, we finish off the Night Goblin Shaman. You can see she only has 60 armor on the Griffin, so these Wolf Rider archers actually can do very effective damage, but we managed to get a big old rout here in the center. You can see the Rogue Idol actually goes down to the Sisters of Avalorn and to the, the War Lions there. And then we're just going to be able to push through. Grimgore's more or less isolated and has Grimgore problems. He's still a slow foot lord. Just going to get absolutely gatted by these Sisters of Avalorn here. You can see the princess also throwing in some shots from up in the air there. And that will be a victory for the High Elves. Pretty decisive one at that. And I have to say, I really like this build. I had tried out a couple variations of it, and this seemed to be the most effective. Yeah, the Silverin Guards, I have to say, I'm pretty impressed by. 52 kills and 25. I mean, they didn't get a ton of kills, but they'll certainly hold longer than Spearmen, especially against higher tier infantry, like mid to high tier infantry, like Biggins, for example. They actually trade very effectively with Biggins. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know that you would want to take your whole front line as Silverin Guards. I mean, I guess you could. Only 800 points, like, not the worst thing to do, but I definitely think that they're going to be a good unit in multiplayer. Originally, I thought they were not going to be super cost-effective, but in testing them out a little bit more, it does seem that they are in a pretty decent place. Like, I'll have to kind of play around with them a little bit more, but I'm definitely impressed. They managed to hold the line very well here. Rangers got some okay kills, kind of supporting. The Reavers, you know, they, again, did okay supporting, but 70 kills on the Lion Chariot, very nice. 55 and 62 for the 2 units of War Lions as well. Quite good. Of course, we don't see the Manticore kills or anything, but yeah, the Princess kind of picking away a high-value target. She didn't really get a lot of kill numbers, but I'll show you guys the cost in just a moment. It's actually very, very cost-effective. As for Flying Taco, I mean, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Rogue Idol. I've talked about that in previous videos. I just think it's a little bit too slow, but a little bit too expensive. And, I mean, yes, it's great at killing infantry. Like, there's no infantry in the game, I don't think, that can kill this thing. But, I mean, there's just a million things in the game that are good at killing infantry blobs, so I don't really see the necessary need for the Rogue Idol. Like, yes, it's a very powerful monster, and especially in campaign, I think it'll be very good, but here in multiplayer, I just don't know that it has a place. Like, pretty much every game, I've seen it in It's Lost, maybe only one, where they brought the Rogue Idol, they've actually won, and it wasn't because of the idol. But anyway, the Pump Wagons are definitely a solid pick, although I was able to deal with them very effectively. Kind of the War Lion Chariots and the War Lions themselves, you know, the Manticore summons. 5 Biggins is pretty solid, but, I mean, we had the tools to deal with them, so it ended up working out okay. So, yeah, as far as the High Elf stuff goes, I really like this kind of, this build, especially because the Princess is so cheap on her Griffin. You can go quite wide and still have a terror unit. Like, you can see here, I was actually, if you wanted to play this, like, properly Wood Elves, you could switch to Avalorn and trade the 2 Rangers out for Dryads, although I do think this is objectively worse. I think that Rangers are probably better than Dryads, to be honest. But you could do this also, and it's maybe even a little more flavorful. But yeah, anyway, up on the Griffin, only 1709 with just the Griffin and the Volley of High Arrows. If you cut the Volley of High Arrows, she's only 1550, which is even cheaper. That's very, very cheap for the High Elves. And I mean, you can get Terror for like 1350 at the Flamespire Phoenix, but considering this is your Lord and Monster in one, also, you know, you have the ranged attack again of the Princess. If you do take Volley of High Arrows, you can use that to pick away at artillery or characters or whatever. The Prince on the Griffin is also pretty good. In my opinion, it's just not quite as good because it lacks the kind of the dual threat role of the bow. And the Griffin, because they're relatively squishy, I mean, he's got 80 armor up on his, right? Which is a little bit better, but it's still not great, to be honest. Only 60 armor for the Princess. The fact that they're relatively squishy, though, I mean, 5,000 HP is pretty good. Their stats are pretty good also, but, like, it's not that tanky in comparison to a lot of other, monster lords. Being that as it is, you know, with the bow variant, with the Princess, you can still use her up in the air without risking her in melee combat on the ground, just continuously using that ranged attack and the Volley of High Arrows and so on, and then picking and choosing your engagements when you do want to come down for a quick terror route. So, personally, I'm a big fan of the Griffin mount for the Princess. I think it's also pretty good for the Prince, but particularly for the Princess, I am very interested in. And yeah, honestly, like, I was not super high on the High Elf stuff at first, pun intended. Like, for those of you guys who saw my stream the other day, you'll know that I was not super impressed. But after having been playing around with it a little bit more, kind of utilizing these units, I think, in more of their intended role, playing with some different builds, I think that, yeah, all of the units for the High Elves are... I don't know that any of them are really going to blow your socks off. Like, none of them are wildly OP or anything. But they all fit their role and their design. And if you use them in the correct way, how they're intended to be used, then they will be effective, cost-effective, and so on. So there's that. Definitely good to see. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.